had planned. I tried this morning. I was all set up. I was all ready to go. Friday morning, I'm ready to go. And so I set it up and hit it, and it started. And so I begin, and it says, boom, can't detect internet. So it stops. So, okay, boom, try it again. And it spins for a little bit, gets going, and I start a second time, and same thing, boom, can't detect any internet feed. And I'm like, I got my Wi-Fi on, I'm checking everything. And so, okay, because company's got Wi-Fi in the building, so I'm constantly connected to the Wi-Fi. So try it a third time. Same thing, same thing. So after three times, I thought, yeah, plus the clock is ticking. Now I'm really racing in the morning to get all this done. I'm gathering everything I want to talk about and getting ready to go on the air. And plus then setting up the video stream, trying to get that going. So today, I don't know why things were so difficult. After this happened, then my phone started the process of an update, and which it is yet to complete. And so I'm like, I'm postponing that. I wonder if that was the issue. I just wonder then, because I restart my phone in the morning. I want to make sure clear all the junk out of my phone from, scrolling and streaming and whatever I'm doing over the course of the day. Because I play games on my phone, so on. There's a number of things I do on my phone every day. So I restart my phone each day and that sometimes is when those updates then will start. And I think that's what happened. That's why I got sideways. I'm also wondering about when's the best time to do these. I will continue with that 6 a.m. hour, and I appreciate those of you who follow. Very small number of people who are following, but very much appreciate it. So it's a pretty easy setup. I will just continue with the 6 a.m. hour. But then I am wondering if maybe it makes a little bit of sense to do something at this time. Let's say if we were to say 9:30 Central Time every day, just to do a recap, and maybe for those who aren't able to hear the entire show, to touch on a couple of things. And just do a shorter version, because the hour-long version I think is great. I like the way it's been flowing. As I'm into it pretty quickly. I don't start the stream until I'm almost beginning the show anyway, and then there is a bit of a break while we're playing commercials on the air and doing news and information on the air. So I'm gathering for the next segment of trending stories and whatnot. I'm busy doing that. So I plan to continue doing that, but I'm wondering if doing something like this at 9:30 would make sense, and if I would be able to attract more of you, who might be free at this time of the morning versus at 6 a.m. in the morning. Now, a number of people have been watching these videos because I post them afterward. I post them to kello.com, and then I share them on my social media, and we pick up a number of people who are viewing it that way. But I just am wondering if it would make sense to do an abbreviated, maybe a 15, 20-minute version of what I've been doing. Again, I'll continue the 6 a.m. hour, but in addition to that, does it make sense to do an abbreviated version? Will more people see it? One of the things I've been concerned about is not only the numbers, they've been a little bit low, but that's expected. You're doing something new, you're building something, and it takes time for those things to catch on. And then also I've wondered about the time. That time of day, obviously there are people who are listening at 6 a.m., but they're also busy starting their day. They're getting dressed, they're showering, they're having breakfast, whatever, all of those things. So I'm a part of their day, but for them to be able to see the video and talk about it, to have some time to be able to do that. Mornings is just a really difficult time for that. So I'm wondering if something a little bit later might make a little bit more sense. So I welcome your comments that on this. Please feel free to comment, whether it's here on YouTube. Also, you can, I'll post this video for those of you who follow me on Facebook. So I'll be seeking comments there as well. You can always drop me an email. My email is always open to you. greg.belfrage@kelo.com is my email address. greg.belfrage@kelo.com. And those come directly into my inbox. So drop me your thoughts anytime. During the show, I push the emails a lot. And we were talking earlier this morning, during the show this morning, about this first presidential debate, which is coming up next Thursday night. And so the question of independence, and will independence be moved, and will Donald Trump be able to move those independents? Donald Trump lost independence during the last election, and it was one of the reasons that he lost to Joe Biden, is because independents didn't vote for Donald Trump. They voted for Joe Biden, and a number of them did, not all obviously, but generally speaking, they voted for Joe Biden. So independents coming up in this debate, what kind of presentation will Donald Trump need to be able to appeal to those independents? I think it'll, remains to be seen. We'll find out. But I got a very interesting email from Daryl. Daryl says, I'm a registered independent. And he said, I made comments to you in the past that I don't really like either candidate, he says. So I'm trying to decide on the better of two negatives. I've got a slight lean toward Biden because of Trump's legal issues and his statements by him and constituents about hunting down opponents for retribution. Like, Daryl, you better quit listening to legacy media. I mean, you have got to quit listening to legacy media. That's where that nonsense is coming from. But he said, I don't like Trump's comments about pardoning all the January 6 participants that mobbed the Capitol. And he said, his age, like Biden, is a little bit of a concern. My biggest concern about Biden is his running mate. I dread the thought of Kamala Harris being next in line. So as I said, choosing the best of two evils. So I don't know how Donald Trump gets through to Daryl. I don't know how I can get through to Daryl, honestly. I mean, if that's where Daryl is at, Joe Biden, seriously, you're not seeing enough with the border that you'd think Joe Biden, I mean, literally just opening up the border and allowing people to come in, the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands that Joe Biden has allowed to come into the country, if that's not enough to win your vote for Donald Trump, then nothing will. I mean, then I just think, I mean, seriously, my reaction to you, Daryl, is you're a lost cause, buddy. I mean, I say this respectfully. If what's going on with the border, because I talk about these things at length, I talk about what's going on with the economy. If those are not enough to get you to vote against Joe Biden, then sadly, Daryl, you're a lost cause. I mean, I appreciate the email and I appreciate you listening. As I've said, and I took a phrase from Rush. I heard Rush Limbaugh say once, love me or hate me, I don't care if you love me or hate me as long as you listen tomorrow. And there's a lot of truth to that when you're a talk show host. Love me or hate me, please just listen tomorrow. I appreciate the fact that you listen. So Daryl, again, I'm grateful you listen. But I've got to say, my friend, there's nothing, I don't understand your thinking at all. Where you're coming from, how you're looking at things, just is not catching on with me at all. But I do appreciate the email. And then Sean sent an email as well, because we were talking about the debate coming up next Thursday. And Sean said Biden and his handlers should not be underestimated in this debate. Biden will be probably pharmaceutically enhanced, as he likely was for the State of the Union speech. Also, the state media only needs one or two strong, coherent lines for Biden and one strong image to call the debate a success for Biden. Many potential voters will be watching, wondering if Joe will freeze up, but I don't think we'll see it. And I'm not sure. I'm unsure. I don't know what we'll see. I do agree with Sean that I think the president will be hopped up, just as he was at the State of the Union speech. I think he'll be hopped up. Really, I'm more interested in seeing whether Donald Trump is going to be able to control himself. I like Trump. I'm a supporter of Trump's. And I plan on voting for him. I will not be watching the debate because I've not made up my mind yet. Oh, yeah, I made up my mind. The more evidence that's out there regarding Joe Biden and this economy, so many people are just in denial of the reality that they see every day. I can't explain that. I really can't. It makes no sense to me. Yeah, I expect that Joe Biden is going to be, that he'll be amped up just like he was before the State of the Union speech. And we'll see kind of the same thing. So independents are really the question, how independent voters are, how will they lean? Robert F. Kennedy Jr. will not be in the debate. That was CNN announced that yesterday. But there are a number of stories about independent voters. I mentioned this on the air today because this story got my attention, that Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden in double digits among independents in New York State. So in New York State, which is generally, to the left, Democrat in New York State, independents in New York State are leading or are favoring Trump by double digits over Joe Biden. And I think if we're seeing that in New York State of all places, can you only imagine then what's going on in the rest of the country? I mean, plus the fact that there's an Equus poll that's out there among Latino voters. They're saying in greater numbers they trust Donald Trump on the issue of the border. It's Donald Trump who's winning their support, not Joe Biden, when it comes to the issue of the border. And I continue to believe, if you have known people who have immigrated to this country, I mean legally immigrated, come into the country, played by the rules, went through the process, became citizens. Have you ever talked to those folks? I've met a number of them through the years. Some of them will listen to the Greg Belfrage show and email me quite passionately on this issue. Call me, very passionate about this issue. They played by the rules, and they believe others should play by the rules too. And what you find is when you start talking then to folks who went through the process, not originally from this country, but they're Americans now. First of all, they're incredibly proud. They are incredibly proud Americans. And they're very disturbed by the things that they see going on in this country. So keep that in mind. I just think as you look at all of those things, how can you even consider voting, Daryl, for Joe Biden? I mean, you could never explain that to me in a way that will make any sense. I mean, your email, I understand the words in your email, but I don't understand your thinking. And I don't think you'll ever be able to explain that to me in a way that's going to make any kind of sense. Because, again, I'll give you another example. This is a story this morning from the Center Square. the latest federal budget projections. These are coming from the U.S. Congressional Budget Office. The federal deficit has grown by 27% in 4 months. In 4 months! 27%. That's how much the federal deficit has grown. So I just say, how much more of this do you think this country can take? And Donald Trump, I would say the same thing. Donald Trump spent too much during the time that he was president. He spent way too much money. He was not and this was one of the reasons why there were Republicans who were opposed to Donald Trump initially, including myself. I thought Ted Cruz was a better choice for president than Donald Trump. And in part of the reason was Donald Trump wasn't talking about curbing expenditures at all. And during the time that Trump was president, he didn't curb expenditures. He didn't. And I think that's something he needs to address when he becomes president, or should he become president, I should say. But just that issue of federal spending, this country cannot continue to spend money in the way that we have been. It's just not plausible, not feasible. I want to end with there was an incredible good news story this morning at the New York Post, and I was hoping I could share it with you on the air this morning, but go to the New York Post for this story. 14 adorable puppies. What is it about puppies? That just gets I'm a dog lover. Admittedly, I'm a dog lover. And when it comes to puppies, so there was a rollover crash in Connecticut, and 14 puppies were rescued from that crash. Go to the New York Post, find that story, and the photos will just steal seriously. They just touch my heart. So I wanted to leave that story with you as we wrap up another week. So thanks so much for letting me join you. Again, let me know what time works. Excuse me, I get a scratch on my nose. Let me know what time works best for you in terms of when to do these video updates. I will continue with the 6 a.m. live video during the Greg Belfrage show. We'll continue that, but does it make sense to do another shorter kind of recap after the show, 9:30? I used to do one at 11:30, and what makes sense? What's the best time of day for you to be able to catch these? I'd love to get your point of view. So drop me an email, make a comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're watching it later on Facebook, just share your comments with me. Send me an email. I especially appreciate those. greg.belfrage@kelo.com is my email address. I want to wish you a wonderful weekend. Sorry for the problems this morning. And again, as I'm fighting the clock, I don't have a lot of time to be able to, I don't have somebody who's handling the video presentation for me. I'm doing all of that by myself. I'm running the board in KELO-AM. I'm doing that all on my own. I'm gathering all this news, presenting it. I'm doing, literally, with the exception of my producer, John, who screens calls, it's really a one-man operation. So I apologize this morning that I didn't have more time to get the video up and going, but stuff happens. I want to wish you a wonderful weekend, and I hope to see you again on Monday. So long until then, and may God bless.